I went to a play with a friend of mine. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about it. It was in Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. And anyways, the play was a load of crap. But at the end, I couldn't help but stand up when they asked if you wanted to be saved. And I went up to the dais, and I remember standing up there and just looking straight up. And it felt like energy was, like I was underneath this waterfall of energy. It was amazing. It was like I was being filled up, not so much cleansed. Sure, that was going on, but I felt like I was being filled up, like I was connecting. And it didn't feel like blood. It felt more like water. It had a more watery quality to it because of the whole cleansing. So there I am, I'm having this profound religious experience, and they shuffle us into a back room where everybody's, talking about the Bible, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to indoctrinate you as you're coming out of this euphoric ecstasy of spiritual insight. They're just trying to get you to nail it down. Well, I wasn't buying any of it. So I was like, no, I got my own Bible at home. I'll read up on it. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah. Went home, tell my family jokingly, hey, I got saved, oh boy. And that night I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw Jesus. Now, he didn't look like the typical Anglo-Saxon white guy with long brown blonde hair and blue eyes. No, he had black curly hair, and he had brown eyes, and he had dark tan skin. He wasn't black, he was Middle Eastern. And he had holes in his wrists, he had crown of thorns, and his robes were made of light, and he had this purple sash. Actually, it was that way. And he came up to me smiling and greeting as I was in this church, and it was just me and a choir of angels and him. And he motioned to the empty pews, and he said, this is not your path. And he turned me to these double glass doors, and outside was the forest and a narrow path that looked like it hadn't been walked in some time. It looked like a few people had been walking it, but not many in a while. So he pointed to the doors and he said, that is your path. Walk it. And I nodded and, I agreed, and I walked out the doors and I followed the path. And I wasn't afraid, even though it was night and I was in the middle of a strange forest. I continued to walk until I got to a clearing, and I noticed the bright full moon high above. And on there was these gently rolling hills, and on the highest one was like a complete stone circle, like Stonehenge. But it was like it was brand new, but it had a heavy weight feeling to it, like it was really old. So I went up to this stone circle, and there was firelight and music coming from within, and I entered, and there was people playing flutes and drums and stringed instruments, and people were dancing around the bonfire, and there was a man and a woman. The man was dressed in animal skins, and he had antlers, and he had curly red hair and curly red beard, and he had bright green eyes that were just full of love and understanding. And he greeted me and he welcomed me home. And I looked to the woman, and she was smiling at me as well, and she was wearing silver and white and blues. Her hair was white in the moonlight, and she looked both young and old at the same time. It was like she was aging and then getting young again and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And she had these beautiful summer sky blue eyes, and she smiled at me, and her eyes were full of love, and she hugged me, and they greeted me into the circle. And I remember feeling like I had come home. Like I was where I was meant to be, where I was supposed to be all along. And so anyway, I woke up. Well, I started my year in one day, and that was in 2000, and the summer solstice of 2000. So the day after the summer solstice of 2001, did my dedication. I had another vision soon after that in which the god Pan came to me. In the dream, I was in a forest once again. It was daylight, and I remember hearing this enchanting panpipe playing. So I followed the notes, and I went to another clearing, this time a circular clearing, and there was a oak tree in the center. And underneath the oak tree was the satyr god Pan. He was playing the flute, and I went up to him. He bid me to sit. He played the flute for a little while, and I enjoyed the music and the warm, dappled sunlight, and just looked at the tree and awed at this big, huge, beautiful oak, and the leaves looked like they were trimmed in gold. It was amazing. It was like that late afternoon golden light coming through. So it was really amazing, and there was like butterflies and fluffy stuff in the air. It was pretty neat. And anyways, after a while of playing the flute, Pan stopped and he looked at me and asked me what the tree was called. And I told him it was the world tree. It was a tree of life. It was a tree of knowledge. It was a tree of strength. And he said, good answer. But he said I wasn't seeing the whole truth. And I remember he gave to me an important lesson that has stuck to me. And he asked me, what is it that you first notice when you look at a tree? I thought and I pondered this, and I realized you see the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. He said, uh-huh. And he says, now what do you not see on the tree? Thought about it, and I thought, well, you don't see the roots. He goes, yes, that's true. He goes, and that's a very good answer. And he told me that the tree can be an analogy for the body and the soul. The body would be the trunk, which goes straight up and then branches out. And the mind would be the leaves, which absorb the light. And they grow, and they're all over the place. And he said the spirit is like the roots. They grow deep. They go out and spread out, just like the branches spread out. And they go down deep, just as the branches go up high. And they represent the soul. And that lesson stuck with me. And I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. I'm learning stuff about nature, and here I'm learning it from the God of nature. So Pan became my first patron god. And I'll go into patrons in another video, because I have 4 patron gods and 4 matron goddesses. 1 for each element. And all part of the lessons that I had to learn. So anyway, I've been gaining knowledge ever since, and it's been great. And I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of things to share with people, and I plan to here in future videos. So keep watching. And I hope this was enlightening to some people. And I know it'll be shocking to others because Jesus sent me to paganism. But, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Blessed be, and have a, an adequate day or night or, whatever it is where you are now watching this video. Blessed be, and merry part.